My name is Matteo Borrini. I'm a forensic archaeologist and a forensic anthropologist at Liverpool John Moore University, where I'm lecturing as a principal lecturer in forensic anthropology. This is a Paul Sietsema, Documentation of Empire, 2002. Well, looking at the movie, the first things that pop out for me is the insects. Not only because it's the first things that is in the movie, but also because I'm arachnophobic. Even if I'm working with corpses and a crime scene where we have a lot of maggots and insects, I'm arachnophobic. So everything that has more than 4 legs scare me. So that was the things that pop out. And then when there is the second scene where there is this kind of 3D model and the camera is moving around, probably for a sort of pareidolia, I start to see and recognize the shape of a human skull. Probably this is due to my work, probably this is due also because our brain is made to recognize faces, and this is probably what happened to me. Well, having a background on anatomy, so as a forensic anthropologist, for sure the idea of moving around with a camera with this kind of model allowed me to see faces, so it's allowed me to recognize, even if it was not any image of a skull, allowed me to do this. Also the fact that I'm used to work on a crime scene, so to move in rooms and try to check details. In the 2 sections, the orange and the black and white, where the camera move through this kind of rooms, allowed me to imagine to be in a crime scene, so looking for details, so probably there was this kind of perception. In addition, my knowledge on crime scene investigation histories and technique also pointed what Madame Lee did in the early 30s, so the idea to reconstruct model of crime scene to teach to the police in Harvard how to perform an investigation. This was something that popped me out when I was looking at the movie. Well, yes, if I think about my discipline, that is moving from the crime scene to the microscope, then move sometimes the microscope into the crime scene, thinking this kind of switch that I saw in the movie with a very close-up images and also very, let's say, more wide-angle image in the alleged rooms, I would say that could be from the macroscopic to the microscopic and vice versa. Well, I'm Italian, so I'm used to a completely different concept of art. I'm more probably used to an old taste of art, so like a Renaissance painting or Roman art. So for me, everything that is modern or contemporary is quite far from me. So it's a bit difficult to say that I can like this kind of art. Of course, I appreciate the idea, I appreciate the work behind, so I cannot say that I dislike. Knowing that what was filmed was not actually a real scene, a real room, but was a recreation, and considering what I know about creating models, for example, for interpret crime scene, and as the history of crime scene investigation teach us since at least the 30s of the 12th centuries, thanks to Madame Lee, yes, for sure affected this in a positive way, because I recognize also the effort, and I recognize also how we can be in some way tricked and scammed by the cameras and the movement of the cameras that create the illusion of space. I am a forensic expert, I'm a forensic anthropologist, but in my spare time I'm also an illusionist, so a magician. So I'm very used to see illusion of a perception, and this for sure influence in a positive way the interpretation of this artwork. Well, for sure, nowadays we don't have an empire conquering with tanks and weapon or battles. Modern empires are basically made in more a sneaky way through economic. And we are seeing nowadays a lot of this example in different parts of the world. At the same time, I think that we are facing the risk of a another kind of empire that is the empire of, we could say in some way, the illiterate, if we don't want to use something less polite words, through internet. Because what is happening in internet is that just people can start to have an empire of a follower, even if they don't do anything smart or anything intelligent, and then became popular and popular, and we are craving popularity. So this is probably another idea of a more weak empire if you think about what happened in the past. Well, looking to try to interpret with my background, make me focus on the artwork, so try to see more details, try to figure how I can interpret these, not just what the artist probably want to put there. So these increase my attention to that, so in some way is effective. Honestly, never been in a gallery with a modern art with the idea to interpret the artworks, because as a Italian, I think that I have a more attachment to ancient artworks. So this experience that push me looking and try to interpret, especially using my background, yes, for sure it will probably trigger something new in my mind the next time that I will go in a museum.